So I guess part of the questions you guys may have is, why this bike? Why not another full sport bike? And I thought about it. I've had a Suzuki, I've had a Honda leader bike, I've had a I just had the Kawasaki leader bike. This is a leader bike too, but it's been, I'm sure most of you guys know that the leader bikes for a sport bike are a little different from a leader of a sport touring. So, I wanted to go with the Yamaha R1. That was my next bike I was thinking about getting, but the reality of the situation is I was definitely going way faster than the street should allow. Obviously, part of it led to the crash, taking a corner at 65 mile an hour that was listed as 25, that I would have had no problem making, except for gravel throughout the entire corner. Just kind of, I'm not going to say there was any excuses. I probably should have just went for it, but it kind of mind me at that point, and I just didn't make the corner. That's just I could watch the video 100 times and make excuses all I want, but the reality of the situation is that's probably what happened. Was I seen the gravel, I tried to stand it up to kind of get around it and then go back into the corner, and it happened so fast that I didn't get back down in time, and at that point it was too late. And the buddy of mine who was riding behind me, which you didn't see in that crash, also crashed in the same corner. He low-sided. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about right there, oil. So I really was going faster than the street was safe. You know what I mean? Like, I was having fun. I was hitting the corners really good. Had no chicken strips left on the tire. I was to the entire edge of the tire, maybe an eighth, a 16th of an inch. But gotten pretty much over completely on both sides of the tire, and I was whomping through corners, and I was having a good time. But the reality of the situation is I was riding faster than the streets are safe. I was riding kind of very trackish, and some of the guys that I ride with was even saying, dude, you gotta slow down, man. You're going, you've hit a whole new level of how fast you're going. The reality is, we kind of have a thing where keep it 70 to 7 or 75 mile an hour through the straights, and womp through the corners. And they were like, dude, you were maintaining over 100 through the straights. And when you're entering corners at over 100 miles an hour, it's dangerous. And I got really lucky. I mean, speed was definitely, I wouldn't say was the cause of the accident. It probably contributed a little bit, but I wasn't going near as fast as we normally go. I mean, normally we're maintaining 80 miles an hour. Now, we were on a new stretch of road that we don't ride very often, which is why I was going a little slower. And that probably really helped out a lot. But obviously not knowing the corners, and that corner was very poorly marked. The corner, 2 corners or 3 corners beforehand, it said 25 or 20 mile an hour, and I imagine you could have taken that corner at 120. It was like, so that's why I wasn't too scared on the corner, this corner. Typically 20 to 25, 15, 10, anything below 25 advised. You really got to take it into consideration that it can be a decreasing radius apex corner. Okay, guy. And the corner was 25, and I was like, man, this corner I could have taken at 90, 100 miles an hour easily. So the next corner that said 25, which is the corner I ended up crashing on, I wasn't taking it nearly as serious as apparently I should have. I just assumed, being the same stretch of road, that it was going to be a similar marking and would be fine. And it ended up decreasing radius, which didn't help that there was gravel through the entire corner. And there wasn't anywhere, there was probably one line I could have made it clean, but the corner was covered in streaks, not like across the road, but parallel with the road. So if you got into it, which is what happened with my buddy Ray, like, there's no getting out of it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like get into it, your tire slides a little bit, regain traction. It was get into it and you're sliding until you're down. which is why I was scared. That's why it kind of mind effed me pretty hard. But I kind of digress from the reason why I got this bike. So it kind of all correlates together. Is my buddies were like, dude, you gotta slow down. A sport touring bike is gonna slow you down. It's gonna be more comfortable. You're more upright. My girlfriend would ride a lot better too. You know, she's gonna be more upright, so it's gonna be more comfortable for her. And she enjoys riding as well. So, and I got a hell of a, you know, bike insurance, gas mileage. It all benefits to this bike over the ZX10, the Z1000, which is what this is. I never was a fan of the naked style bike, except for the Z1000. Like the FZ1, which is what my buddy Brian here in front of us is riding. Not really a fan of the style. It's a good bike, runs smooth, it's fast, really refined. I just not a fan of that naked style. Now, this bike is a little more aggressive than the FZ1, so you're a little bit more forward. This has got the Renthal bars on it, so it's not as high as the stock bars are, so you're a little more attack position. So that kind of led me into wanting to get this bike. And then obviously the price. I just totaled a motorcycle. You know, I didn't have $1 million to spend on another sport bike, and the sport touring bikes were a lot cheaper and more readily available because they're a little less popular. So, you know, it makes it for an overall better experience. Now, one thing I have noticed with a sport bike in the windshield that this doesn't have, what the windshield would do is it was shooting a lot of air up into your face. So it became a lot of turbulent air because you got a lot of high pressure air coming in on top from the hitting the windshield, and then a low pressure underneath the windscreen. So it caused the air to kind of tumble. Sorry guys, I had to concentrate on that pass there. With this bike not having the windshield, the air is definitely distributed a lot more even across your entire body. See, let's hit this corner pretty good. A little wider, Brian. So it's not as hard right in the face, which kind of helps reduce noise. Now this bike is loud. It's got the dual exhaust. It's got the GP exhaust, which is loud and naturally loud. One lane road ahead, so we better slow down. See what's going on here. It is a Saturday, so this is the best corner of them all too, which kind of sucks. It just keeps going. And then it kind of gets, right here is a good little stretch. But anyway, so everything kind of led towards me wanting to get this bike. It was definitely going to slow you down because it just doesn't have the full juice that the ZX10 had. I mean, you're talking 160 horsepower versus 120 horsepower. You know, so you're gonna lose that end, but this is 2 years newer, so that helps a little bit as far as you know, the motor. Obviously the newer the bike, the little newer the a little bit better the refinery is in certain things. And this bike isn't nearly as buzzy as my ZX10 is. So that's kind of why I picked this bike. You know, it handles, I feel like it handles a lot better than the ZX10, primarily because it has handlebars, not clip-ons, so you get more leverage on the counter steer. It is something that I have to get a little bit used to as far as body positioning again, and because you're a little more upright. You got to kind of really concentrate on leaning forward through the corners. But I mean, we're doing 85 miles an hour right now through these corners, and I'm just sitting here vlogging away, no problem. Now, the drift obviously doesn't make the corners look nearly as bad as they actually are. So, you know, some of these corners, I mean, that one that I was talking about, that was one of my favorite corners, that's a beyond a 90-degree corner. I mean, it's a sweeper, so it's not as sharp, but trying to get on this dry patch of road. So you're gonna get the better counter steer. Is he gonna do it? That car wouldn't have came to that intersection. I think he would have. But yeah, so that's why I picked the bike. Honestly, I love it. I mean, it sounds so strong. It's got a manly bark to it. It's crisp. It's not buzzy. It's comfortable. I will say the seat's a little hard. You know, I'm more upright, which is more easy on the arms and back. But as far as comfortability, that way is good. But the seat, I don't know. Maybe it just needs a little broken. The brakes, oh shit, there's a leaf right here. No issues. Perfectly smooth. Handles fine. I think I may have to adjust the suspension to be a little bit firmer because I'm a little heavier. I'm 210 pounds. The guy who rode it before me was not. Brian hates these hard lefties. But he didn't wreck when me and Ray did, so he likes to take it safer. And that's each their own. I mean, everybody's got to make it home. Everyone's got to be safe. I'm not going to push anyone. I hope he doesn't feel like I'm pushing him. He knows. We rode long enough that he knows I'm not going to push him. I'm just trying to get some good footage. And once I put a 55 profile tire from a 50, it's definitely going to handle a lot better. I mean, it handles perfectly fine now, but it's gonna really want to turn in. Caught up in some lap traffic here. You hear that? I think it would have came up if I'd have fucking gave it some gas. Yeah, I mean, I really like this bike. It's unbelievably smooth, more comfortable. I'll fix the seat problem. Maybe buy Corbin. Even though I really like the look of the seats because he had them redone. Like, it used to be orange, I think, and then he did the black and white stitching that you guys saw from the bike reveal. I really like the look of it, but obviously comfort's more important to me than looks. I think he's gonna let us by. Thank you.